everyone, welcome to part 2 of the £170 pit bike project. Now if you watched last video, you know we've got an oil leak that needs addressing, and it found out to be a crack in the back of the block or crankcase, whatever you want to call it. So to get better access to it, we're going to need to drop the engine. So that's what we're going to be doing here, going through that. While I'm doing that, I'm going to change the oil and just have a little look, see what all that looks like. So yeah, let's get cracking with it. So the first step, going to be to drain the old oil. It's that large 17mm just there. You want to make sure you've got a drain bucket of some description. Got a couple here. I'm going to put it into this one here, because that way I can seal it up and then can dispose of it properly. So yeah, let's see if we can crack this off. Cracks off. Grab the bucket. Fingers crossed I don't make a massive mess absolutely everywhere. I'm so ready for this to go absolutely everywhere. There we go. Not the nicest looking oil in the world. Alright, now it's going to pop off the fill so it can drain a bit better. It's a little bit metally. It's not horrific, but it's not great. Stand the bike up. So it's sitting all nice and straight. Alright, catch back up once that's all finished draining. Right, so what I've done, I've just put, because the oil was a bit metally and a bit horrible and it's not been changed in years. I mean, I've never changed it. This poor old thing. So I've just chucked another load of oil, good oil, into it, just run out the temperature and give it a little rev, and just to give it a little cycle of that oil. So we're going to drain that out and have a little look at what that looks like. Hopefully it don't look too bad. Ooh. That looks nice. Let's pop the breather off now, just so it can drain a bit more freely. Right, I'm going to give that a bit of time to drain down. And then we'll get to removing the engine. Hopefully that bit more fresh oil will help her out. I might do one more cycle of oil, just try and clean her all out a little bit. Right, so while that's all draining down and giving everything a chance to cool down a bit before we start tackling the engine, so I'm going to go through and take off all the bodywork and give it a good clean, all up for the frame, maybe a bit of touch-up paint, clean the seat up a bit of leather treatment on that. Any bolts and stuff that's missing, we can put all them in and just give it a good tidy up that way. So we'll start off by removing the single cable tie that's holding the seat on. And then I'm just going to go around, there's lots of little cable ties. I say holding it on, sort of holding it on. And then a couple of screws on the side for these plastics, which isn't doing much really. That one is, that one's not. So yeah, let's get cracking with that. Okay, so bodywork and the fuel tank are all off. So it's not horrendous, it's not super rusty. There are a few bits of exposed metal on there, and it's all just a bit dirty really. So I think next plan, I'm going to get the engine out And the ends out, we're going to give the frame a good clean, tidy that all up a bit, give it a little paint just on the bits that are exposed, and sort of see how she looks. And then we will start with rectifying that oil leak. So yeah, let's get started into dropping this engine. Right, so I'll pop the cap and the drain plug back in. But now I'm just going to take the exhaust off. So it's just a couple of 10 mils just on there. And then I'm taking the carb off, 2 more 10 mils there and there. You can leave this all connected, I'm just going to hang it over. So yeah, let's get cracking with that. And also for the exhaust there is another, there's an Allen key right there, that's the rear bracket. Right, carb is off, exhaust is off. Just popped it on the stand quickly, so I'm going to take the rear wheel off so I can get the chain off. So I'm going to pop this cover here off as well. So there's just one 8mm under there, and this will come off. A couple of little nuts there to adjust the tension, and a 14, 17 I think it was there, and this big bolt through here can slide out. Rear wheel can come off. Pop the chain all off, and I probably will pop the wheel back on so I can roll the frame about. So yeah, let's get to it. Right, chain is off, wheel is just loosely back on there. I've also just sorted out taking the wiring off. I've not unplugged anything, I've just removed the actual sort of control module and unbolted everything, just because I'm a little bit cautious that some of the wires, if I try and unplug anything, connections are going to break and none of it's going to go back together again, being it quite an old bike. So I think I'm just going to try and play it safe just by leaving it all connected. It doesn't really make much odds. So yeah, the next step now is going to be to start unbolting the engine. It looks like I should just be able to take off that one there and this one here. It goes right the way through on both, and then it should be able to drop out. I'm going to leave it on the stand here. As I let this down, it should just come straight out the bottom. Fingers crossed. So let's get them out and see what happens. Right, engine is out. Now as you can see, the crack itself starts about here, goes right the way down there and ends here. So I've just spent a little bit of time sanding it a bit, so I'm spending a bit more time sanding, but what we're going to be using is some of this good stuff. So if this doesn't work, I've got someone lined up in a couple of days to properly weld it. I'm going to give this a go first, just as I've got another video that I need to record tomorrow using the pit bike. So we're going to go from that there. But I've also got some spray paint, so we're going to spray this all up after, just on the back here. That way it won't rust. And I've got some more paint and primer and stuff to use on the frame itself. So I'll get all that sanded down whilst this is drying, so we can make it all look a bit better. Right, my pro welding skills. So this says it takes about 5 minutes to dry and then about an hour to fully cure. So we're going to leave this to do its thing. And in the meantime, we're going to be prepping the frame of the bike for paint. So yeah, let's get to that. Okay, so just cleaned up the frame a bit. See, there's lots of bits on it where it's missing paint. All there. Come around the other side. Quite a lot there as well. It's all kind of a little bit rusty and horrible, especially on the seat pad. So what I'm going to be doing, it's quite a long process, so I won't bore you with it all completely, but I'll try and show you a bit about it. Is I'm going to be sanding down and repainting the frame. I'm also going to be seeing if I can get some of the rust off of these bars and the forks. I'll show you how to do that. So yeah, I'm going to stick an axle stand on there to lift the frame up so I can drop the forks off, get the rear wheel off and the suspension, split all that apart, just so I've got less actual components to deal with. I probably won't strip all of the paint off of it. All the bits that aren't too bad I'm going to leave, but just scuff it all up a bit, give it a light coat of primer, and then I've got some spray paint to paint it up with and lacquer it all after. But all the bits like this where it's all kind of coming away and rusty, I'm going to focus on to get that rust sanded back, and then lacquer over that, lacquer primer over that before I paint it all. It looks like it's had a repair before. This all looks like it's been re-welded. As you can see, the paint's slightly different colour and there's a lot of spatter up there, so yeah. Fingers crossed I can make these forks look quite nice. I should be able to. The bars I'm not so sure on, I might have to order a new set. But yeah, let's start diving into it. We'll get these off first. If you saw the previous video with this, you saw how to do that before, so I'm not really going to show that. I'm just going to very quickly, it's just them 3 bolts and then a big nut in there, and this all comes apart. So let's do that now. Just like that. Front forks are off. Got them over here, just sort of built them back up so I know where everything is. So I'm going to be trying to clean up these and the shock tubes themselves. But now, got to get the rear suspension apart. We'll start with the 2 bolts on here, this through shaft on there, and it should all just slide out. I'm going to pop the wheel back off as well. I've just got the bolt through it, not actually nutted it up. So I can pop that off. And then just that little one in there. So this will all be separated up. I've noticed there is, hard to see so everything's moving, but a lot of play in them bushes there, but I'm in the middle of doing it now. I haven't really got time to order parts, but they're not too bad. I'll just chuck some grease in there. It'll be right. So yeah, let's get them shocks, the rear shock apart. Let's do that. Right, so we're all the rear wheel off, the brakes. So you can see here what I mean about the amount of play in it. So I'm gonna have a look if there isn't anything I can do about that. Maybe pack some grease into that in there, just to add a little bit of softening. Not too sure. See what we can do. Right, let's get this shock off, rear arm off. Let's go from there. Alright, that's all apart now. That was not easy, partly because, look at that. That is what sits through there, and it's completely bent up. So, definitely not helping with our suspension geometry. So I'm going to see if I can't heat this up and get it straight again. I should be able to get it a bit better, get a blowtorch on it, see what I can't do. But in the meantime, we're now completely stripped down to where we need to be. So the next step is to be stripping the paint, as much paint as I can off of these, and cleaning all the rust up, and then getting them started painting. So I'm going to go through now, just use sandpaper, and then run with a sanding disc on it to clean these up best I can, get them prepped for some paint. So yeah, we'll catch up once that's all sorted. That was a lot quicker in the video than it was actually doing it. But I'm pretty much there now. So all the rusty bits have been ground down to bare metal. Same on this here and on that there. So the next step, I'm going to clean them, wash them all down, get all the dust off them, and then start with the base layer of paint. Hopefully I can get all the layers done tonight, leave it overnight to dry, and then go from there. So yeah, I'm going to give these a quick wash down, and then hang them up, and then let's start painting them. Alright, so, second coat of primer, just put on. That chain hasn't got a quick link on it, so that's getting a bit painted. Oh well. Yeah, it's not looking too bad. So we'll let that dry for a while, and then we'll start putting on the first layer of the base coat, and then go into some lacquer. Right, paint is now on. Just got to put the clear coat on. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty chuffed with that. Yeah, so I'm going to stick this on. Probably do 2 coats of lacquer and then leave it to dry overnight. And then we'll catch back up in the morning, see what it looks like, and start getting it all back together. Alright, it's now the next day. Finished all the coats of paint and the clear coat. It's had overnight to dry. Looks really good, really happy with how this all came out. Yeah, really chuffed with this. So, next thing to be doing, I'm going to try and clean the exhaust tip up a bit. It's very painty in here, most of it's just sort of paint dust, so I should be able to sweep it up a bit. Going to clean the forks up a bit. I did clean them up a little bit yesterday. Just used some WD-40 and a bit of steel wool, so I'm going to go again on them, see if I can't clean it up a bit better. And then clean all the wheels and everything up, clean the suspension up, and then start throwing it all back together. I need to heat up this bolt and try and bend this back straight again, so the suspension geometry will sit nicely. This has had overnight to dry. That is rock solid now. So yeah, fingers crossed we don't have any more oil leaks. I should be able to bend that bolt back so that will sit nicely, clean everything up. It'll be like a brand new bike. I mean, for a £170 bike, it's gonna look mint. So yeah, let's get to it. I'm gonna clean them up, put the frame back together, and catch back up once the frame's all back together, just before we start putting the engine back in. Here we are. Frame's all back together, suspension's all on, front and rear, and it looks, oh, so good. I'm so chuffed with how that all turned out. Now, rust free, fresh coat of paint, and it looks proper mint. Spent a bit more time trying to get the handlebars cleaned up a bit better. They're not perfect, but as good as I could do. I'm trying to not put any new parts on this. I'm trying to just keep it all original and see how nice I can make it with what it is. But the wheels didn't clean up too bad. No, it looks really good now. So it's got a few other little bits just about on, just the support for the drum there. Just get the brake lever popped on. And then try and get the engine in. Shouldn't be too bad to do, he says. And once all that's all in, then I'm going to clean up all the plastics and get new bolts for everything. There's a lot of bits there, but they don't have the right bolt for it, so, or I'm missing a bolt entirely. So instead of having cable ties everywhere, I've got a few selections of bolts, so we're going to get all them tidied up. So yeah, catch back up once the engine's in. Right, engine is all in. Just sort of tidying the cables up at the minute. I want a little bit more room. Here we go. So yeah, just got to tighten the rear wheel up, get the chain tension all set, get that side cover put on there. So I'll get all them bits done, pop the carb and the exhaust on, and then going to get to cleaning up the plastics, cleaning up the fuel tank, making her look all nice. So yeah, let's get to it. Right, all back together now for everything that makes it run. So I've topped the oil up, and I'm just going to, so loud, I'm just going to leave it to idle for a while I clean up all the bodywork and clean the leather up and all that, just so then that oil can get nice and hot. And once I've cleaned everything up, I'm going to drain that oil, then put fresh oil in it again, and I'm just going to monitor to make sure it doesn't leak. So yeah, I'll catch back up once all the bodywork's on and it's looking how it should. And here she is, all back together. Clean the seat up, all the plastics, fuel tank. Yeah, it looks like brand new. The wheels are still a bit crusty. Did my best with them, but they're a bit too far gone, to be honest. But other than that, it looks pretty good. Clean the old handlebars up a bit more. Shocks as well. They're not bad. They're not amazing, but as good as I could get them. So yeah, I'm absolutely chuffed with how this came out. It looks awesome. So yeah, hopefully everyone enjoyed this video, found some of it useful or entertaining. Thanks so much for everyone. So, I can't even speak at the minute. Thank you so much for everyone for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. And stay tuned for the next video. I've got something else planned to be recorded today, which is why I wanted to get this finished up today, so I'm glad I did. And it just looks absolutely spot on. So yeah, thank you very much.